Now that we've got the business objects we want for our application, let's actually create a web application on top of those objects. So we'll call this EMP console. We'll take the standard navigation style and create our app. We've got other tabs open, so let's just close those other tabs just to give us plenty of room. And you can see we've got the main start page for our application that Visual Builder has created for us. So let's start just by having a heading on that page. So I'm dragging my UI components onto my page. I can obviously adjust the properties. Every component has a set of properties. Let's add a rule onto here. And finally, let's start binding some of our data to the UI components. So let's add a table. You'll see here that it's showing what the look of the table will be, and in the property palette I have some quick start editors to help me. So let's add some data. We'll take data from the employee business object, and let's add the name, the salary, the start date and the approved field. You can see here the columns that are going to be in my table, and I can move them around. It's pulled in the primary key. I could define some additional queries on that data if I required them, and click Finish. And now I have my data displayed in my component and bound to it. And this is, even though I'm in the design time of Visual Builder, it's still pulling in data, the live data. Okay, what else can we do to edit our CRUD application? So let's add a create page. Again, we'll select the employee, select the fields we want, which is the name, the salary, start date, and this time let's select the department and the location. The order of those will be fine, but I'm just going to amend my button label on this one. Now I have a create button. So let's actually run the application. So we can run it in preview mode and create a new employee. So let's create an employee called Sanjay with a salary of 5,000. Let's start him on the 7th, and he's in sales in New York. And of course we have cancel and save, as you would expect on a create page, so we'll save that record. And we can see that it's added to our live data. Go back into our design time. I can actually refresh this design time page and pick up that new record in the design time also. Okay, so what else can we do? Let's add an edit page. Again, the employees. And let's select the name, picture, department, location, salary, and approved. Notice that they're coming in the order that I want them this time, so I don't need to move them around. Again, I'm going to edit my label. I'm going to go into live mode, which allows me to work in the design time but in live mode. Now if I select a record, my edit button's enabled and I can move through to my edit page. Flick back to the design time. Let's have a look at this. So what I have here is a form layout with these items on it. I can also look at that in the structure. So here's the form layout. Here are all my grid rows, my validation group, just select and move these over. What I'd like to do is to add a new component to the page, because my URL to my picture of my employee is coming in as an input text by default. So what if I add an avatar to my page? Now I can bind this avatar component to this data just by going to the properties of the avatar, going into the data tab, into my employees object and saying I want the picture. And there we have it. And back on the general tab, maybe make this a little larger. Okay. Now I no longer need this field, so let's just delete that. Let's look at this form layout again. I can maybe make this 2 columns. And now my UI is looking a little better. The other thing I'd like to do is just have a picker for my salary. So if I just maybe put, I don't know, let's say that goes up in hundreds. Now I've got a picker there. I've selected my location. I'm going to change this location to, let's have him working in New York as well, department, and save. And of course you'll notice that Chris doesn't have approved in here because his data came in before, but my new record that I added earlier, Sanjay, has not yet been approved. So what else I need? Finally in here, I just need to have a delete. So again, let's go to employee, and I've got a delete employee. Go back into design time. If I select the button, I can obviously change the text here to delete. So let's just show you another couple of things around here. I've been looking at the main start page and the main edit page, but where do these come? They actually come here in the flows. We've got a create, an edit, and a start page. So I can select them from here also. I could also choose not to show those flows, or see that I structure change there as well. And one last thing, I've been editing everything in the property palette, but in the code view, I can do direct editing of my code. So I always have a choice of working declaratively, adding properties, editing, or using direct coding of all of the components in the HTML. Let's just run the app one last time. So let's select another employee, edit them. Let's add a location of Dallas and maybe marketing, and save this record. So this is how easy it is to create a complete CRUD app in Visual Builder in just a couple of minutes, using the declarative approach and quick start wizards.